It was autumn on the island of Sodor. Henry, Percy and Thomas were busy working in the yards. Bertie arrived. "Did you know the Fat Controller's leaving today?" "What?" said Percy. He was very confused. "He's lying," said Henry. "Of course the Fat Controller's not leaving today. He would have said." "It's true," said Bertie. "He is. Oh, got to go. No time to waste." And Bertie drove straight off. "Wait," said Thomas, but Bertie had already gone. "He's lying. You're so gullible, you two." "I don't know," said Thomas. "Bertie's usually quite truthful." But that afternoon the engines were called back to the yards. They were all very confused. The Fat Controller was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, his car pulled up next to Thomas. The engines felt a little uneasy. "You may have heard a rumour about me leaving Sodor today. And I'm afraid to say that rumour is actually true. Lady Hat and myself have concluded we need a change of scene. We're moving to America later on. I must go." And then he left. So, later that day, the engine said hello to the new controller. Bertie was very cross. This new controller thinks he owns the road. He would not pay for his bus fare. And now I'm giving him a free ride just to see you. It's not at all fair. He was rude to my driver and I have had a horrible day. I hope that he goes away. The engines were very scared, especially Henry. But they didn't know what to think. At last, the controller stepped out. "Oh," he said, as he sneered at the engines. "All steam engines, are we? What is this railway all about? So pathetic. Look at you. A small, stumpy traction engine. Didn't even know they ran on rails." Fergus was very cross, but he managed to stay calm despite his rude remarks. "Now let's get one thing straight, shall we? I do not tolerate accidents. I do not accept engines who have accidents. You engines are out of date. You're old. You're useless. You're too big, like you." Murdoch felt hurt. James was fuming. "He won't last 5 minutes here," said James. "No one likes him." Poor Percy was scared. "I hope I don't have an accident," he thought to himself. "Now that engine over there is a useful engine. Look, he's big." "You actually believe me, don't you?" "Of course he's not. He's a stinking steam engine." I do not like steam engines at all. And yet I'm surrounded by them. Now, what am I to do with all of you? I've inherited this railway off your Fat Controller, your overweight controller. James was fuming. "Now then, I expect you to work hard. Any slip-ups, you're straight to the scrapyard. Now take me home, you stupid bus." Bertie felt miserable. "Don't take him, Bertie, he doesn't deserve it," said James. "I wouldn't take him," said Bertie, "but my driver says he's really strict. If he doesn't obey him, then he may fire my driver." And what does that mean?" said Fergus. "It means," said Bertie, "that my driver will lose his job, and he won't be earning any money." "Surely there's a way," said Henry. "We must get rid of him." "I don't think there is," said Bertie. "Don't fret, Bertie, we'll wait for the passengers to complain and he'll soon be gone," said Edward. "What a good idea," said Bertie. "Brilliant," said James. But he was still cross at the new controller. Later that day, Henry was shunting trucks in the yards. He was being extra careful and bumped them slowly. Scruffy, the leader of the trucks, started making his plan. The trucks started giggling. Just then the coupling snapped, and the trucks rolled away and came off the track. "Oh no," said Edward. "Henry, you've derailed the trucks." Worse still, Fergus had noticed Bertie coming towards the yards. He had the evil controller inside. "Oh no," cried Henry. "What am I to do now?" "Henry, look out," cried Thomas. "Somebody send him away." But Bertie hadn't realised about Henry's accident, and he was coming closer and closer to Henry. "What's this? Oh look, someone's had an accident." How typical of a steam engine. Well, you win some, you lose some. I suppose I've caught your green-tended, haven't I? The trucks giggled at the evil controller's joke. Henry didn't find it funny. "Now then, tonight, Smelter's Yard. You'll be there, won't you? There's a good engine. Don't worry, you'll be changed into something a lot more useful to this railway. Some sort of diesel. Of course, cheaper to run, less harmful to the environment. I'll see you later." "I'm so sorry, Henry. I could have stopped him." "So am I," said Edward. "I could have tried to send him away." "Oh, I'm so sorry," said Fergus. "We'll try and get you out of this." "Don't worry, Henry. You won't go to the smelter's yard. We'll make sure of that." "Don't worry. Everything will be all right, Henry." We'll find a way," said Percy, but he wasn't sure how. "Don't worry. It will be all right," said Murdoch. "Come on then, boss. Take me home, you load of junk." Bertie looked at him doubtfully. Then he had a plan. "Come on then, what are you waiting for?" "I'm not letting you in," said Bertie, "because I like my friends and I'm sticking by them. Goodbye!" And he drove straight away. "Well done, Bertie," said Fergus. "That's what you deserve." But Henry had slipped off to the forest without anyone realising. The forest is where Henry loves to spend his time. "I'm gonna miss you," he said. The trees in the air, the birds in the sky, and the sound of wildlife filled him with joy for the last time. "The thing I'll miss most is being who I really am," he said to himself. Henry journeyed to his favourite parts of the forest and looked at them one last time. And from the cliff-top view, Henry could see the whole forest. That night, Henry went to the scrapyard. Inside, Henry had lost hope. His fire was out and he stood sad and alone. In any minute the claw would take Henry away from Sodor forever. But his trusty friends of bravery and strength were planning to save Henry from his disastrous fate. Thomas eyed the wall in front of him. "There's no way in there. We'll have to think of something else," the engines thought, and suddenly they had an idea. The Fat Controller had no idea that Henry was about to be scrapped. He was about to board the aeroplane. Henry's courageous friends lined up buffer to buffer, with Thomas at the front and Gordon at the back. The long train gathered speed and powered its way forcefully towards the scrapyard walls. "Go!" said Thomas. He burst straight through the wall. "Bust my buffers!" "Well, they already are." "I may not like to bust my buffers, but for Henry I will do it any day. Now stay on guard in case the evil controller arrives." "Thomas," said Henry, "is that you?" "Yes, Henry. Thank goodness you're not scrapped yet. Now I am going to get you out of here. Right now. Thank you, said Henry. I'm very happy you came. The light went on, and the grabber was coming down to grab Henry. Look out, Henry! I'll have to push you! Hurry, Thomas! Thomas pushed Henry as hard as he could, and just missed the claw. But the evil controller was watching. He drove after them in his car. You're not getting away from me this time. Thomas puffed as fast as he could. Henry was helping Thomas to move, but the evil controller was gaining on them. Thomas puffed through a tunnel and onto the main line. Bertie saw the evil controller, and at once he swerved right in front of the car and diverted him into a power station. The engines were safe, but the evil controller's car was in pieces. Later that day at Tidmouth Sheds, the engines were talking about their day's adventure. What a close shave that was, said Thomas. I'm so happy we got away from him. Goodness knows where he is now. I'm just happy that I could be back at the sheds. Oh, Henry was too tired to talk. He fell asleep at once. Outside, a light was shining through onto the floor. Thomas saw it shine next to him. There's something moving outside. It's some sort of vehicle. Then the light moved round to the front of the shed. It shone through the window. Oh, cinders and ashes! Henry woke up at once. I think it's the evil controller. The engines were very scared. Suddenly, there was something moving outside, and it blocked off the light. Something had approached the shed door. It's him! I know! It's the evil controller, said Henry. The engines waited as the door swung open. It was the fat controller. Hello, he said. I'm just coming here to say I'm not going anywhere, so, never fret. I'm here. But why did you want to move to America? Well, wife's decision. I find that owning the railway was the best place for me. The engines were delighted. They had their old controller back. Soon, all the engines were back to their old jobs. Percy was pulling the mail, and Gordon was pulling the express. All the engines were happy again, and of course, Thomas the Tank Engine was back on his branch line. He would often see Bertie there and thank him for his bravery. And Henry was back in his forest. I'm so glad to be back, he said. And Henry knew that whatever happened, he would always be safe on the Fat Controller's railway. And as for the evil controller, well, he survived the explosion but left two things behind. A ruined power station and a very battered van.